Hey everybody, RC here. Just wanted to share with you a couple of things that I've been playing with on the AI front. So let me just kind of paint the scenario, right? So a lot of the work that I'm doing at the university is teaching students, and the students happen to be largely aligned towards the journalism side of things. I also happen to be working a lot more now in video and video production and mobile production, right? Shameless plug for the book. So I created a book for them called Video Storytelling Projects. And it basically teaches people how to be able to do all of the technical stuff using mobile phones and a couple of different things, which has been great. But I have a degree in English, and I wanted to work with students and try to figure out better ways for them to be able to start working on their writing. And I was thinking to myself, all right, well, we know that in journalistic news writing or in journalism news writing, one of the common things that people would use is something called an inverted pyramid. It kind of looks a little like this, right? Most important information is at the top, then more information, and then details. You want to be able to get the crucial things at the top and then kind of funnel your way down. And I was like, all right, well, that's kind of cool, but I kind of want to push into this AI space. And I'm like, well, if I can solve this problem using AI. And that brought me back into ChatGPT. And I figured that this would be a much bigger conversation on how I've set all of this stuff up. And then I want to kind of show you something. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. You're going to be listening a lot for some of the stuff that's happening here. But we're familiar with the whole concept of using ChatGPT, right, which is a big, large language model, to ask it all sorts of questions and do all sorts of things. But that is almost kind of like a glorified Alexa, and it can do a lot more than that. But it's basically you speak to it and it responds, and you speak to it and it responds. But what if you could take that same behavior and all of that knowledge, right, all of that intelligence that it has, and kind of drive it into a very specific area? And that's kind of where they started working with this whole concept of a custom GPT. Now, if it sounds like I'm explaining a lot of this stuff for the very beginning, that's because I think that a lot of the times people don't really know that there is a thing called ChatGPT, right? They think of it as almost kind of like this Alexa thing, like, best chicken pot pie recipes. I keep using that example. But also, people don't know a couple of other things. Like, people don't know that you can actually go inside of here on my phone, and you can see that you can load it on your phone. And you can ask it stuff akin to the way you would do stuff with Alexa. Now, inside of here, look, there's a little headphone icon. And from inside of here, I can go ahead and I can click on this headphone. What are the differences between Star Wars and Harry Potter? Like, are they similar or are they different? How are they similar?
Star Wars and Harry Potter are both beloved franchises with huge fan bases, but they're quite different in terms of themes, settings, and storytelling. Here are some key differences and similarities. Differences. 1. Setting. Star Wars is set in a distant galaxy with a mix of futuristic technology and mystical elements, focusing on the battle between the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire. Harry Potter is set in a magical version of the modern world, primarily in Britain, focusing on the magical community and Hogwarts.
Okay, I understand that, but what I'm trying to find out is, do they both use the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell?
Yes, both Star Wars and Harry Potter ascribe to the hero's journey, a narrative framework identified by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces.
And all of that stuff is written out here. So that's a good thing, right? It's not just a question of, well, can you find this piece of information? Can you find this piece of information? You can ask it to solve problems. And that's one of the things that I kind of am interested in from an education standpoint, right? Because if you can teach people how to be able to interact with this to solve smaller problems, then you can teach people how to use it to be able to solve bigger ones. And that's where this whole concept of custom GPTs come in. So inside of here in your ChatGPT, notice that if you have the paid version, so there is a GPT Plus option. You pay for this on a monthly basis and you get access to GPT-4. And GPT-4 is more multimodal, right? And that means that you can give it a picture, one mode, and it can tell you something about the picture, right? Text. So you can go from picture to text, sound to text, text to sound, all of these different modalities, right? These different ways of getting data. So that's kind of one of the strengths of what's happening with GPT-4. So inside of here, The other thing that you can start working with is this whole concept of exploring GPTs. Now, from inside of here, I can click on exploring GPTs, and there's a ton of different GPTs that people have made. And they're going to actually start like revenue sharing this stuff, which I think is kind of neat. But you can make your own GPT. So right here, this is my GPT, right? So inside of here, I can turn around and I can say, all right, I want to make a GPT. I'm going to call this the Hero's Journey Explorer. And then inside of here, I can say, all right, well, find out if it uses the journey or not. Now, this is the part that I think is fantastic, because this is where we're commonly used to the whole concept of programming, but we don't really have to program here. Because it's a GPT, right? It's a transformer. You can actually just give it straight directions as you would normally type, and it'll create it for you. So let me show you what I mean. Inside of here, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say, ask the user to give you 2 different movies. You will then compare them and see if they both fit The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, and explain how they do. If only one of them does, highlight that and suggest another movie that would pair well with the match. And then under here, you can go in the conversation starters, right? I can turn around and say, what is the hero's journey? Can you give me an example of the hero's journey? Now, once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this. I'm going to put this for only me, and there it is, the Hero's Journey Explorer. What is the hero's journey? And can you give me an example of the hero's journey? So now I have mine, right? It's a private thing. That's it. That's all I've done for the program. Now, watch this. If I come back over to my phone, and inside of here, there's my Hero's Journey Explorer. Look, and I can say, all right, well, that's kind of cool if it uses a hero's journey or not. I'm a big fan when using the phone one to just talk, right? So I'll come over here and I'll do this. Let's begin.
Please give me 2 movies you'd like to compare for the hero's journey framework.
Star Wars and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
All right, let's dive into how Star Wars and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle fit into Joseph Campbell's hero's journey framework. Starting with Star Wars, specifically A New Hope, it's a classic example of the hero's journey. Luke Skywalker's adventure aligns closely with Campbell's stages. 1. Call to adventure. Luke finds R2-D2 carrying a message from Princess Leia. 2.
So does Harold and Kumar prescribe to the hero's journey?
Yes, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle does follow the hero's journey, albeit in a very unconventional and comedic manner.
How about Pulp Fiction and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle? Do they both match it?
Pulp Fiction and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle are interesting films to compare with the hero's journey framework, as they both deviate from traditional storytelling in unique ways. Starting again with Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, as we've discussed.
What about Pulp Fiction? Does it follow it at all?
Pulp Fiction does have elements that can be loosely interpreted through the lens of the hero's journey, especially if we examine its individual storylines rather than the film as a whole.
Okay, so not bad, right? For just 60 seconds of thinking about this. So imagine if all of a sudden you created this exercise and you said, all right, well, what if I could just code something that I can use specifically for that? Now, that's not bad. But let's go back to the beginning, right? What I was talking about, that inverted pyramid. So I was thinking to myself, well, is there a way to be able to create something that my students can use that can give them a really rich experience for practicing all of this stuff? And this is what I did. I came up with here called Broadcast Buddy AI. So I made this AI that's basically going to walk people through the inverted pyramid. But not only that, what it does is it's going to walk them through it. If they don't get it, it'll give them an overview of the entire thing. If they don't get that, it'll give them an overview of each of the components, then testing for review. And if they get that, then it offers them a series of different exercises. But here's a part that's really cool, and I want to show you this. So I just want to just make sure that you can see the entire thing. If you want to try this, make sure that you have ChatGPT on your phone. Make sure you have the Plus account. And that's how I would recommend you use it. So that's my Broadcast Buddy thing here. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to my Broadcast Buddy. And now watch. Obviously, you can type, which I think is fine, but watch this. Let's begin.
Welcome to this AI-enhanced tutorial for broadcast news writing using the inverted pyramid. This guide was created by Rafael Concepcion, assistant teaching professor at the S.I. Newhouse School of Communications at Syracuse University. The purpose here is to help you understand how to write concise, engaging scripts for broadcast television news packages. Would you like to participate in this tutorial in English, or would you prefer to follow along in Spanish? Para comenzar, ¿te gustaría participar en este tutorial en inglés o prefieres seguirlo en español?
In English.
Great. Let's proceed in English. Are you familiar with the inverted pyramid writing format? This format is commonly used for delivering news, especially in broadcast television, because it helps present the most crucial information first, followed by details of lesser importance.
I am.
That's fantastic. Since you're already familiar with the inverted pyramid, let's dive a bit deeper. We can explore several exercises to refine your news writing skills. Here are some options you might find interesting. 1. Package Coach. Practice writing a news package based on sample news details I provide. You can type your sample package, submit a voice recording, or take a picture of your script for assessment. I'll give you some news information, and you'll write a compelling lead. I'll then offer critique based on good lead writing characteristics. 3. Fix this lead. I'll provide a sample lead that's intentionally written poorly. Your task will be to rewrite it for better engagement. 4. News switch. Practice the lead or package exercise with a different genre of news story, like political, science and tech, sports, entertainment, or finance. 5. Formula Explorer. Focus on learning new formulas for news writing instead of taking a quiz. I can share different formats for news writing. Which one of these exercises would you like to try first?
Formula Explorer.
Great choice. The Formula Explorer exercise is a fantastic way to expand your understanding of different news writing.
I'm done for now.
Would you like to receive an email summary of what we covered in this session? Or would you be interested in reaching out to Professor Concepcion for any additional help or questions you might have?
No, I'm good now, thanks.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm just going to stop that for there because I wanted to share with you a couple of things that happened here, right? So I set up all of these different individual exercises, right? Take some sample news information and you make your package, make a 90-second script on how to be able to do that. But inside of the GPT, I actually coded it so that it has very specific genres that it does and specific genres that it avoids, right? So I have concepts in DEI, I have politics, I have community stuff, but I've stayed away from murder and arson and fire and things like violent stuff. So that was one thing. Same topics, I have the ability to be able to configure all of that stuff with the individual exercises. So there are 5 exercises in total. But something interesting happened that I thought was really cool, right? I was sharing this with another professor and I was sharing it with a class and they were like, well, but we don't really use the inverted pyramid per se in this example, right? And I was just kind of just showing a demo of what this thing can do. And they were like, well, we use something else. And they were talking and I was like, don't worry about it, I got this. And I jumped in and I started coding in another section that was like, all right, well, if you know how to be able to do all of these, then show me different formulas, right? Different examples of formulas. And I put it in and then I'm like, huh. But I wonder if I can turn around and say, well, when you show me those different formulas, let's say like a listicle, hourglass, problem solution, all of these different types of formulas. Let's say you do a problem solution one. Can I then do all of the different examples that I did in the first one and tailor them to those new formats? So put that in and sure enough, it did it. So the entire structure that I did from a teaching standpoint, right? Exercises, feedback, uh, setting up the rubric for critiques and all of that kind of stuff was done in one structure. And by just saying, hey, switch the genre or switch the formula, but still apply that structure in like 2 sentences, it was able to do all of that stuff. So the GPT started this big and then it just went that big. I thought it was fantastic. But I'm going to show you one that I thought was phenomenal for this. So check this out. This is the stuff that I was using for coding, right? It's just like a Microsoft Word doc. But watch this. Age modification. Ask the participant how old they are. If they're between the ages of 5 and 12, change the tone and the delivery of the GPT to a more fun, friendly, and focused tone. If they enter in any age over 12, continue in a predefined tone and voice. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go back inside my broadcast buddy and I'm going to edit the GPT. I'm going to go to my instructions here. And from inside of here, I want to make sure that this was created. That's great. And then I'm going to turn around and say English. And let's just say after that section there, that's when I want to ask them about language. Once I do that, I'm going to update this. I'm going to update with that link, right? This is something that I'm actually going to publish, but I'm not going to publish it just yet. Now, back inside of here, I'm just going to refresh this real quick. And now what I want you to do is I want you to focus on this. I'm not going to let you listen to the whole thing, but keep in mind, go back and take a look at the formal tone, right? Professorial, college professor tone, the whole thing had in the beginning. Watch what happens when I give it a different age. So I'm going to go over here, go to Broadcast Buddy. Let's begin.
Welcome to this AI-enhanced tutorial for broadcast news writing using the inverted pyramid. This guide was created by Rafael Concepcion, assistant teaching professor at the SI Newhouse School of Communications at Syracuse University. The purpose of this GPT is to help you understand how to write concise, engaging scripts for the presentation of a news package on broadcast television. Would you like to participate in this tutorial in English, or would you prefer to follow this GPT in Spanish? Bienvenido a este tutorial mejorado con IA para la escritura de noticias de transmisión utilizando la pirámide invertida. Esta guía fue creada por Rafael Concepción, profesor asistente de enseñanza en la Escuela de Comunicaciones SI Newhouse de la Universidad de Syracuse. El propósito de este GPT es ayudarte a entender cómo escribir guiones concisos y atractivos para la presentación de un paquete de noticias en la televisión de transmisión. ¿Te gustaría participar en este tutorial en inglés o prefieres seguir este GPT en español?
In English, en inglés.
Great. We'll continue in English. How old are you? This will help me tailor the conversation to suit you better.
7.
Awesome. Since you're 7, I'll make sure our chat is fun and friendly. Are you familiar with the inverted pyramid? Or is this something new for you?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
All right. The inverted pyramid is a really cool way to write news stories. Imagine a triangle flipped upside down. At the top, where it's widest, you put the most important stuff, like who, what, when, where, and why. This helps people get the big picture right away. As you go down, you add more details, but these are not as crucial as the top info. And right at the bottom, you put extra stuff that's interesting but not super important. It's like building a Lego tower, but starting with the biggest piece on top. This way, if someone...
Can I try it as an exercise?
Absolutely, that sounds like a fun idea. Let's start with a simple news story. And you can try to arrange it using the inverted pyramid structure. Here are the details of the story. A local library in Syracuse, New York, hosted a big book fair last Saturday. The book fair raised over $5,000 for new children's books. The event featured readings from popular children's authors, a puppet show, and a book signing session.
It was attended by more than 200 people, including families and children. The money raised will be used to buy new books for the children's section of the library. The library manager said the event was a huge success and plans to host it annually. Try to write a short news piece using the inverted pyramid. Start with the most important information and then add details as you go. You can type it out here, and I'll let you know how you did.
So all of the information is still exactly the same, but the whole tone, stuff, all right, super, all of that changed. And you saw the language thing. So imagine if you took this concept, right? One of the things that I think that's really hard is sometimes doing stuff in different languages, right? So I could create GPTs that are very specific: Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, French, and I can deploy them, or I can create some sort of instance in the front where I can say, all right, well, select a language. Obviously, you wouldn't want to hear press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish, press 3 for French. But you could make duplicates, right? And this didn't take very long. We can go ahead and do this, and we can create different ways for people to practice, right? I saw at CES this past year, they were talking, I think it was Volvo or something, or Volkswagen was thinking about adding ChatGPT to the car. And I was like, it sounded like a gimmick until I realized just how much I'm actually using it while I'm driving, asking for information and thinking about different things rather than listening to music. I'm like, oh, I want to learn this one thing. I want to take a look at this one thing. So I wanted to kind of encapsulate all of this and share it with you because I thought it was fantastic in how easy it was, how efficient it was to solving a problem, and how you can use this to scale it up and have it be a real teaching tool to help people. Anyway, so that was it. I got a couple other things that I'll show you, but for now, I'm just going to keep playing with the GPT. Take care.